Good afternoon, Vallejo. You are watching VCAT, your hometown television station. This is Community Forum, and I am your host, Maria Bitagon. You can see our show on Channel 27 at Comcast and Channel 99 at AT&T Uverse. We are shown on Thursdays and Sundays at 6:30 p.m. I want to welcome our guest today. I am so happy to welcome our guest today. It's one of our council members who actually is going to be running for re-election, and it's Council Member Jess Malgapo. Welcome to Community Forum.
Thank you, Maria, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So we are going to start right now because I'm so excited to find out what the answers are to the questions I have to pose to him. So, Councilman, to be clear, why are you running for re-election first, and then a second following question, and what do you wish your constituents to know?
Well, that's a good way to start this interview, Maria.
Great.
Well, first of all, I have more than 5 years of experience in the Vallejo city government.
Good.
And I know how it works. We have many unfinished business in the areas of public safety, infrastructure, improvements, and economic development. And I want the Vallejo residents to know that with their support, I can return to the City Council for 4 more years and finish the job.
If I know you, you'd continue on and on and on because you're very loyal to this, your service to the community. Mm-hmm. So, what do you think is the most pressing need for the city today?
Well, we're a city of 120,000 people, so we have a lot of economic needs. And for me, we have momentum toward economic development in major areas, which will result in the greatest financial benefit for our city. And first, as always, is North Mare Island.
Good.
You work in the shipyard, so you're very aware. There's the north side, which is 157 acres. It's our biggest undeveloped land, and we are in negotiations with Mr. David Feeney of the Nimitz Group to finally develop that piece of property. And just last Tuesday, at the council meeting, the council voted to forge ahead with the negotiations with Mr. Feeney and his group. And this is a fantastic development because, Maria, it will produce a film production facility, commercial and office space uses. And incredibly enough, the developer is offering to develop a portion of the property into a public park. I think that's wonderful. And not only is the project very good for our property tax and sales tax revenues, it proposes to employ 1,500 employees.
Wow,
and
I like that. Yes,
that's phenomenal. And the hope is that the majority of the employees, of course, are Vallejo residents.
Yes. So that's great. What do you mean by that when you say the city is also investing on this project?
Yes. So on North Mare Island, there are many remaining buildings,
yes,
which, as you know, no longer functional,
yes,
been abandoned, in bad state of disrepair. So the city of Vallejo is allocating, in fact, the work has started. We are going to demolish 6 buildings,
yes,
and the price tag is almost $1 million. So this is how we are helping and partnering with a developer who wants to work on the island, and we want to demonstrate and say to them that, hey, we're real partners. Here's $1 million. We're going to help you. We're going to tear down these old buildings. Also, I want to add that as far as pressing needs of equal importance is, of course, our waterfront. So Maria, for 3 decades, we all talk about developing the waterfront.
Yes.
And for three decades, we all said, why bother, nothing happens, right? Well, times have changed a little bit, and I think the future's bright.
Oh, that's great. And, it's good news, actually.
Yeah.
So what is so different today?
That's a good question. Today, there's actually movement. The original disposition development agreement seemed to just go on in perpetuity. Well, we changed the agreement and trimmed it down to 5 years. So the developer has to perform within the 5 years.
Okay.
And already we're seeing some activity at that vacant lot across from Ziafredo's. We're beginning to put clean fill, clean soil on top of that site to prepare it for future construction. And here's some good news for you, Maria. And, and you might hear this from city officials. Just got the word, only hours old, that MTC has agreed to fund the demolition of the old post office building on Georgia Street.
Yes. And
that price tag is $1.5 million. And so that is an amazing development that's really going to help what we're trying to do with the waterfront.
Okay. So why is the demolition of the post office building important, Councilman? And also, what does it mean to the waterfront development? You know, I'm curious about that. What will be the relationship between those two questions?
Right. So with MTC funding, we can now remove the building, and in its place will temporarily be just a surface parking lot.
Okay.
So it doesn't seem significant, but imagine the big parking lot directly behind City Hall.
Yes.
You're now able to move that parking lot into the post office building, that site that's going to be vacated. Okay. That vacant lot behind City Hall, which we call Parcel J, can now be developed because it's no longer a parking space. So more high-end condominiums and mixed-use commercial facilities will be built at that site.
Closer to the waterfront.
Right there by the waterfront.
Yeah, that is so great.
Yeah.
So I see. So what about the proposed relocation of Costco? What can you tell us about that? Costco.
Okay. Quickly, I want to add, when we're talking about the waterfront, briefly, that everything we're doing on the waterfront is going to generate foot traffic downtown. So there's the added benefit for all the merchants downtown. Now, Costco, currently they are looking to expand and grow their operation, but they cannot. That footprint is too small.
Okay.
And I know you're hearing people talk about this. So the plan is for them to relocate to that vacant property next to Avery Green Honda.
Okay.
That property is 51 acres. And at that location, Costco will grow into 1.5 times their current size. Okay. So bigger, right? And there will be other commercial development there. But the real key point for us too, as a councilman who's always looking for revenue for our city.
Yes, for our city.
Not only is Costco helping, on the east side of the Costco new location, proposed location, will be a 170-unit housing project.
Oh, wow.
These are expensive homes, so these aren't by any means homes for first-time home buyers, but it will do tremendous to our tax base, both the Costco development and these brand new homes coming into that site at Avery Green.
So that's, you know, I was just going to say, my God, Costco, and also, there are lots of progress then happening in Vallejo. So council member, I know that council members only get a modest stipend. What do you wish to why do you wish to continue to be a public servant? I know that when you were, after you retired from in the military, you were earning a lot of money. So why do you wish to continue to be a public servant with seemingly small compensation relative to the amount of work you have to perform? And not only that, I still remember Mayor Osby Davis saying, please use me, but please don't abuse me. And in addition to all of that abuse that you get, during those council meetings, I don't think I can do that.
I know. I love Mayor Davis.
Okay.
First of all, and I say this with all sincerity.
Yes.
It is an honor and a privilege to serve our city. I have been doing it for almost 6 years.
Okay.
As a councilman, you are entrusted, along with the mayor and 5 of my other colleagues, fellow council members, entrusted to shape policy for a corporation, which the city of Vallejo is. We incorporated in 1868, and we're worth $600 million.
Okay.
And so you have 7 people working together, serving a population of 120,000 people, making sure we don't do anything that's going to jeopardize the safety, the well-being of the people in Vallejo. And so it's a tremendous responsibility. It's not for everyone. It's a big load on the council members' shoulders. And so we have to weigh every decision carefully, keeping the residents of Vallejo in mind with every single vote that we cast.
Okay, now I can understand. I recall, Councilmember Malgapo, that you ran on economic development, public safety, financial stability, and infrastructure improvements. Do you feel you have delivered on those programs the last 5 years?
Thank you for that question, Mary.
Yes,
yes,
because you promised that. Okay.
Yes, I have delivered. So this is a challenge for elected officials. You run on a platform, and after so many years in office, there is a scorecard. I mean, the perennial question is, what have you done?
Okay.
And so I have delivered, because public safety was at the very top of my list when I ran in 2013. And at that time, we have 78 police officers. Today, Maria, we have 122. That's a 35% increase.
That's right.
Over the course of my short time in city government. We have many businesses that have opened up since I assumed office. And we have you're gonna love this one, we have a fully functioning shipyard, a multi-million-dollar business that has reopened activity in Mare Island, where we used to build Department of Defense assets. We're now, we've opened a shipyard that has re-engaged in repairs of these vessels. The Coast Guard is a frequent visitor now for major repairs. The National Oceanographic Agency, and recently the Navy came back, Maria. The Navy came back. The USS Emory S. Land came.
Yes, yes.
And that's a $15 million job.
This is what, when I saw that, and everybody is parading down, on July 4th, I says, oh my God.
It's like a big welcome.
Yeah.
So it's great. I love what's happening down there.
So, because I was saying, okay, what is happening? Because unless you tell us, it's very hard, because we have to hear from, because Mare Island is so quiet. You don't know what's happening there until you get the news from the public officials. So I heard there are still issues with fire department facilities. Could you please tell us about that?
Yes, our fire stations were built in 1961. So just like anything over time, it's going to require more and more maintenance. and in some cases, a really major rehab. But having said that, in the time I've been on council, we were able to modernize our fire department in terms of equipment. We have to provide our first responders with the proper tools to engage and keep the community safe, whether it's a brush fire, a structure fire, or whether they are responding to 911 calls, which are mostly medical. I hate to say it, but 75% of these calls are people having chest pain, a bad fall, a stroke, you know, and our fire department is knocking at your door inside of 6 minutes. So that's something I'm very, very proud of.
I'm so glad because, you know, like I'm so glad I invited you so that the people will know what's actually happening at Muir Island. That's very exciting because there are, you know, I heard the city manager say something about it, and I said, I have to investigate what's happening here. So, you know, is there anything else that you want to communicate with your constituents so that they will know what's happening and so that they will know that you have actually done what you have promised you are going to do? And also, whatchamacallit, there's a whole, you know, and tell us more about the other achievements, because there are some things, if we do not open to the planning division meeting and we don't know what's happening, we have to go to the council members, you know, meeting.
Yeah.
And so I want to hear from you what has transpired.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. I don't know how much time we have, but
you know,
I wish to thank you, your viewers, of course, VCAT, management and staff who are near and dear to my heart. I'm an alumni of this program back in the day. But I want to say, I want to be very, very clear. Along with our Honorable Mayor, Bob Stampine, my fellow council members, the City of Vallejo has an incredibly dedicated, hardworking City Council. We do not always agree,
yes,
right?
That's
But
expected.
We get along very well, and none of these achievements that we discuss, Mary, can be done by a single council member.
Thank you.
It doesn't work like that.
So, yeah.
To shape policy, you need a cohesive council, and you need a minimum of 4 votes. And I'm proud to tell you that the majority of the time, we are voting 7-0 when we're creating policy for the good of the city.
I am so proud.
That's unanimous.
I am so proud. I'm so proud to hear that, because we hear about disagreements and we hear about people addressing the council, not in a very nice light, but I have never seen the council member do anything that is devastating. And you know, everybody there seems to be really just doing their jobs. And individual differences is always expected.
Of course.
But you know, to have the kind of voting record, so it must be, it's working.
Yes, we're civil. We talk, and honestly, we're pulling in the same direction.
Yes.
We just have a different way of trying to get it done. And that's when we debate, that's when we argue, and that's when the dust settles, we cast our votes, and the decision's made.
So would you like to make a final bid? So tell them exactly, you know, what we can expect from you in the next round.
Yes, yes.
Because you know, we are expecting too much from you, but I think that you're ready because that's what you want and what you love to do.
Yes, and I'd like to add a little tidbit of good news as well.
Good.
The viewers, you may have noticed when you're driving around our city that many local streets and roads are being either repaved or repaired. And that's because we have the gas tax revenue now, which we did not have before. And 3 council members, Councilmember McConnell, myself, and our former mayor, Osby Davis, we've negotiated a decent contract with Recology.
Yes.
They are giving the city $650,000 a
Wow.
year for the next 10 years to help us fix our streets. So our roads and streets will continue to improve over time. And so, you know, we have some issues with Vallejo PD. We want to really grow it to 150 if I make it back to the council.
Yes.
I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know. All I know is to work hard and try to
Yes.
get it reelected. But there are issues with PD. We want to grow to 150. We have infrastructure issues with Vallejo Police, the main station, infrastructure issues with the fire department.
Yes.
We have significant water infrastructure issues. 60% of the pipes underground, Maria, are over 100 years old.
Wow.
And a little shaker, and you have a flooded street because the water main broke. We're going to be methodical, but we're going to address that. So,
I'm so happy that we can drive all the city because it's the roads are really getting better, and so I said, well, we will spend a little, you know, because the tires are mostly affected by bad roads, and so I'm looking forward to that because we always talk, Tom and I always talk about the tires and the roads. So
car maintenance is expensive, so it's a welcome sight to see a lot of significant improvements in our local streets and roads. So.
Is there any other item you want to address so that our people, because we want to work with our public officials.
Yes.
And we want to also, of course, we want to promote the public officials who does a great job for the city. So would you like to address your constituent and say what you need from your constituents?
Thank you, Maria.
So that we can perform better.
Yes, thank you, Maria, for the opportunity. There's one issue that affects all of us, and that's the homeless situation in the city of Vallejo, right?
Thank you.
There's no denying it. You
know
drive
what?
around and you're going to see them.
Thank you so much. I was waiting. You know what? Because some of the people will talk about everything, but they don't touch that subject. Thank you for addressing that.
We're making great strides.
Thank you.
First of all, in the time remaining, I want to say this. The city of Vallejo has allocated $1.2 million in the purchase of a piece of property on Sacramento Street. It's not very big, but it's going to be dedicated to help us deal with the homeless situation in Vallejo. The other good news is, in addition to the $1.2 million that we set aside and used to purchase the property, we have another $4 million available for this project, which we have since leveraged. And Maria, we found a partner, Eden Housing, who is going to bring in $24 million in addition to the $5.2 million that the city has already invested. This is going to be able to house 150 of our homeless brothers and sisters roaming our streets. It's going to be phenomenal, amazing. And when you're looking at this building, you can't tell it's a home for our disadvantaged fellow citizens of Vallejo.
It's decent looking.
It's definitely.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
because you know what, I see them, and when you know what, I almost cried because I'm 3 paydays away from homelessness.
I know,
That's
Maria.
what. But I want you to know that hits me really.
I know.
I don't know. I'll cry about it because we have been talking about it.
There's plenty of room in my house, Maria.
Thank you.
One is reserved for you.
Thank you. I know. So thank you
I'm
very
kidding.
much for coming, and I really appreciate you addressing the homeless situation.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you so much, Maria.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Okay.